What just happened could shake the foundations of the global financial system. China is selling off U.S. Treasury bonds, the so-called nuclear option in financial warfare, and it's sending shockwaves through the global bond market. Why does this matter? Because the moment a country like China dumps U.S. debt, interest rates spike. That's exactly what's happening to the 10-year Treasury yield, and it's a huge red flag for everything from your 401k to your mortgage. This all began in April 2025, when President Trump slapped 145% tariffs on Chinese imports. China immediately retaliated with a 125% tariff on U.S. goods. But that wasn't all. They launched a stealthier, more dangerous move. They began dumping U.S. treasuries. Why does that matter? When a massive holder like China sells bonds, bond prices fall. And when prices fall, yields rise, meaning the U.S. has to pay more to borrow money. That raises rates on everything: mortgages, credit cards, business loans, and even the U.S. national debt, which sits above $30 trillion. This isn't just tit for tat, it's a pressure campaign. One that could corner China the same way George Soros and Scott Bessent cornered the British pound in the 1990s. Yes, the same Scott Bessent who is now Treasury Secretary under Trump. In 1992, Bessent and Soros forced the UK to exit the European exchange rate mechanism, making over $1 billion by betting against the pound. Now, it seems like Bessent is orchestrating something similar: push China into a no-win situation. Option 1. China weakens its currency, the yuan, making exports cheaper. But this could spark inflation, panic, and capital flight, investors pulling their money out of China. Option 2. China defends the yuan by selling US dollar reserves, i.e., dumping treasuries. This strengthens their currency but raises US interest rates, shaking America's economy from the inside. It's financial chess on a global scale, and both sides are bleeding. The US faces a ticking time bomb too. It must refinance $9 trillion in debt this year. But at elevated interest rates, it becomes dangerously expensive. Meanwhile, the Fed is cornered. If rates spike too fast, the Fed might have no choice but to intervene with quantitative easing 2.0, printing money and buying bonds again. That's the real fear, of financial decoupling. Two reserve currencies, two global economies, a broken trust between the US and China. But here's the twist. This might be part of the plan. The strategy may not be to crash the market, but to force China into a corner where their only option is to negotiate. So what do you do now? Personally, I'm staying invested. I'm dollar cost averaging into VTI and Bitcoin, buying a little extra when prices dip. Then I move my crypto to cold storage. If you need help doing that, I've got a full guide with a 40% off code. Andre40. The takeaway? The bond market is the battlefield, not the stock market. This is where real power moves happen. And if you understand this, congrats, you're officially a finance nerd, and I appreciate you. What do you think? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week as we keep breaking down the most insane economy we've ever seen.